GM everyone. So this is probably quite a long video explaining Polkadot Coretime, an introduction and more. I made this presentation in like a couple of hours and hopefully we one bang the presentation. Yeah, so what am I going to yap on about? Coretime basics, Coretime sales, that's probably enough for most people to understand it. And then there's Coretime mechanics, which gets kind of technical, I suppose, and then random thoughts at the end. So, page one of disclaimers. I'm not a developer, I'm not an economist. All of this might change really soon. If you think I did a terrible job, just make your own video. It's really easy. I learned all of this while getting drunk, and I'm probably sometimes wrong because I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Don't be afraid to just learn stuff because this stuff's really cool. Don't be boring. If you look at my channel, I've done that before with extrinsics, Polkadot.js apps, governance, like everything, right? Just if you find something cool, learn it and teach other people about it because why not? So, core time basics. Projects need to purchase a core in order to access Polkadot's compute and benefit from its shared security. So, those of you that have been around for a while probably remember crowd loans and parachain slot auctions. It's kind of similar to that, where in that mechanism, it was like highest bidder sort of thing. It was a candle auction, but basically the TLDR was the more you bid or the more you can raise in your crowd loan to bid, the higher chance you had at winning a parachain slot, which was, I believe, 96 weeks of guaranteed compute. So this core time model replaces that. So basically, think of winning a parachain slot auction before as winning 96 weeks of a core, right? If you want to access bulk access to Polkadot for your parachain or rollup, you need a core. When you buy core time, you're basically buying an NFT, and this NFT can exist in a few states. Sometimes it's transferable, sometimes it's not transferable, sometimes you can renew it, sometimes you can't renew it. And the price of that NFT can massively vary depending on when you buy it, how you buy it, all this kind of stuff. It affects like your future renewal price, everything, right? So basically, you buy something, it's an NFT. If you want to use it, you assign it to a task. Think of a task as a parachain ID number for now. You can find this out on Polkadot.js and a bunch of different sites, but basically, like hydration is 2048, if I remember correctly. It's the ID of your parachain, right? Your para ID. If you assign the core in a certain way, you can renew it, but you can't sell it. And you can also do some other things with cores that we'll talk about in the mechanics section. So you buy it, you consume it to access Polkadot's compute. Think of it as a ticket to use Polkadot or something like that. People will probably say it's something like it's an NFT to gain access to a Polkadot core for 28 days. Yeah, it's a ticket you redeem to use Polkadot for 28 days, kind of. So core time sales, there are 3 stages to core time sales. The price during each stage is different, and who you can buy during each stage is sort of different, I guess. So stage 1 is the renewal period. Sometimes you see it called the interlude period, but I think renewal period is much easier to understand. If you've previously consumed a core for a task, you can renew it during this period. If you assigned it with final finality, otherwise you cannot renew it. You need to do it with final finality. So if you bought a car for $1 in March, and assigned it properly and stuff, right? Then the maximum price you can pay in April currently is 1.03 or a 3% increase. I believe it's something called the renewal bump. This means if you buy a car for a very cheap price, it's going to stay cheap for quite a while. And this period lasts for 7 days. Then stage 2 is the auction period. This is sometimes called the lead-in period in docs and stuff, but auction period makes more sense to me, so I'm calling it that. Anyone on the network can buy during the stage. The price starts off kind of high and then descends downwards in a Dutch auction style mechanism. When you buy a car in this period, it's transferable. When you renew in stage 1, it's not transferable, just to clarify that. The price you pay in this period is what your renewal is going to be going forward. So if you buy a car for $10, then next month it might be like $10.3 or something like that, assuming cars are sold out. Basically, if you believe cars are undervalued or valued fairly at the start of the auction period and you're a parachain and you want to access Polkadot, you probably should just buy one straight away. Simplifying here, but basically, if all the cars are sold out in the previous month, the price in the next month is 10x the amount that the final car sold for. This is all adjustable by governance. So if all the cars are sold for 10 dot, then next month this auction period starts at like 100 dot, and I believe it goes down to 1 dot, and this lasts for 14 days. Then after this, we have the fixed price period. The name's not too bad; it's like the lowest price you can pay. So, for example, if the auction period starts at 100 dot and ends at 1 dot, this fixed price period is 1 dot, and it lasts for 7 days. This is a graph that I put on the forum. This interlude period thing here, this price depends on what you paid for it. Originally, it's your renewal price. It starts off high, goes down low over 14 days, and then it is low for the 7 days, and that's the 28-day cycle, right? All of these numbers obviously change every month. And there's also like 2 cores that are just always assigned to the instantaneous call time pool. So even if you don't have a car, you can access call time by doing some extrinsic. So this is probably where most of you can like leave, I suppose, because now we're gonna get like kind of maybe a bit too technical or something, or a bit like you don't really need to know. So if you're looking to understand core time on a really simple basis, you've probably already learned what you need to know to be able to understand what people write on Twitter. So you cannot immediately consume a core the moment you buy it. You always buy it with a lag before you can use it. So here's an example. The renewal period, or the start of the sale period, starts on the 2nd of May. The auction period starts on the 9th of May, 7 days later. Then the fixed price period starts on the 23rd of May, 14 days after the auction period starts. So if you purchase a car during that period, that time frame of, in May, your car only starts to grant you access to Polkadot's compute on the 30th of May, which is 28 days after the 2nd of May, right? So in this example, like we just said, the car purchased in May can start to grant access to Polkadot's compute from May the 30th until June the 27th, or 28 days. You can consume your car anytime during those 28 days, but it won't be renewable because you should assign your car with final finality before the start of the next sale. So otherwise, you can't renew it, right? Yeah, here we go. So in order to be eligible to renew your car, you must assign it to your task ID or your para ID with final finality. Once you do that, again, you cannot transfer the car. This is one of the states. So you buy during the auction period, it's transferable. You do this, it's not transferable. So yeah, instead of being in the transferable state, it's now in the final finality assigned state. And you can renew cars that are in this state in the next sale without having to deal with like people on the auction stage that might buy all your cars. So you have a parachain and you want to assign a car to your parachain so you can renew it. And probably you read the docs and you see this, that you need to do this broker assign thing. And then there's a lot of like random fields. And I know when I first looked at this, it was really confusing. So I had to use Claude and a bunch of other stuff to figure it out. So let's just go through what these things mean. So what in the actual fuck is a time slice? Time slices are periods that are, as far as I know, 80 Polkadot blocks long. I believe in theory you can split cores up to individual time slices of 80 blocks. Don't quote me on that though. But in our case, you've bought a core, you just want to assign that core to your parachain. You don't want to split it up, so how do we do that? Well, before we know how to do that, we probably need to talk about what a mask is. So if we go back here, you see there's like the begin, which is the time slice, and then there's this mask, which never made any sense to me. But basically, to the best of my knowledge, a mask represents a particular time slice of a core and like how to split it up, something like that. I generally have no idea how you figured it out. But this mask ID, 0xFFF with 19 Fs, seems to be what everybody uses to assign their core to their parachain. So that's probably use this entire core for this task. So just use that. So Now, again, we need to get up to speed with using God's app, which is Polkadot.js apps. So in order to assign your car to your parachain, you need to know these things. So begin, which is we'll go through how to find that begin thing in the next slide. You have the core, which is the number of the core that you own, right? You can find that on RegionX or probably in Extrinsics or Subscan, something like that. Mask, you use 0x19fs. The task is your parachain ID number. And finality, just set that to final. If you don't, then it's not renewable, and you probably want it to be renewable because we're talking about that. Okay, so you're stuck on this begin section because you have you're a normal person, you have no idea even what a time slice really is. So you go on the call time chain to broker regions, and then what you ideally want to do is untick this include option thing, and you'll see a list of all the cars, and put your car ID number in, and then you probably see it, and then it should say owner as your account, and then this begin thing is what you need to write there. That's the correct time slice, right? So yeah, fill out this broker assign thing. So in case you see it's like 322663. This is just the first one in the list, by the way. I don't own this car. So you put that there. Car was 61, 0x19fs. I think that's the Hydra task ID or para ID, and then finality is final. Sign that, and your car's renewable. So you probably want to make sure you don't bugger it up. So you want to, once you've done that, you can check to make sure you don't need to buy. You go to like chain state, broker, potential renewals. You can untick this include option thing. It'll give you a list of all the cars that are renewable. Find your car that's assigned to you and your task, whatever, and you'll be able to find if you're on a potential renewable list, which means at the start of the next sale in the renewal period, you can renew your car. Okay, that was a bit of a random tangent, but if you do all that, you have your car and you've assigned it and it's renewable in the next stage. One thing that seems rather interesting that Claude pointed out to me was the task ID, which I assumed was just the para ID. It can just be a random number, so you can just like put 69420, and apparently you can assign it to that task and it becomes renewable. Not sure, but probably want to fix that maybe. So if you do not use your call before the start of the next sale, you cannot renew it. Renewals is something that parachain projects probably want to do, as it guarantees you get access to a car in the current way of how this works, as long as you press the renew button. There's probably some UIs for this, like RegionX, but if you watch this channel, I just raw dog everything in Polkadot.js because it's funny. So we've been through two states that cars can exist in so far. The first one is the newly purchased / transferable state before you've assigned the car. And then there's the assigned with final finality / is now renewable state that we just spoke about how to do that. As far as I can tell, there's two other states that exist. There's pool and interlace. No idea what interlace is really, because it's all this mask stuff that I don't understand. But as far as I know, it's basically you have one core, you can assign half of it to one parachain and the other half to another parachain. But I don't know how you do that. And then yeah, there's pool. So let's talk about pool. So basically, if you pool your car, it gets added to the instantaneous call time pool. That's where parachains or whatever task that wants to use Polkadot's compute can buy like single blocks worth of compute. You do get revenue from doing this. You actually assign a payee account. So if someone uses your car, you get the money. And you can assign it with final finality on the extrinsic. So I'm assuming that you can just renew it. So you could buy a car, pool it, and then renew it every month. See, I'm rather surprised nobody actually did that, especially when we're really cheap. But I believe there's pretty little demand for instantaneous call time usage at the moment. But yeah, anyway, we won't go over interlacing, but again, I believe it's just you split up a car so multiple tasks can use it. And that's pretty much everything that I know about call time. I guess there's also a thing where cars are in this like lease state. which is a car that like exists for a certain amount of time. Usually, this is assigned to parachains that had a slot auction before. So let's say a month before we swapped over to car time, they won an auction that have a car that lasts for that like 96 weeks or 95 weeks minus 1 week, right? Um, that's pretty much I could figure out from like Claude and just fucking around. If any turbo nerds think I've missed anything, it'd be cool to have a discussion about it because I think this stuff's really awesome. It's just really awkward to understand. And then I believe this is the last slide, so like random thoughts before we close off. Um, so I posted some comments on the Polkadot forum about how I think core time can be improved. I think the thread's like April core time purchase or something. Since then, there's like this RFC that Jonas from Web3 Foundation wrote a while ago. That's kind of been like brought back to life, let's say, because of like what that forum post is about. And there's a lot of energy to like change the core time system. So yeah, like I said, this video might become relevant in a month or two, whenever that's done. But in general, I think the main things we should change are the renewal price should be affected by the market price. I kind of don't think it's right that um, a project, a parachain could buy a core for like 1 DOT when there was no demand, and then it's just like only goes up by 3%. What if cores end up being like 100,000 DOT and you're renewing for 1 DOT? I don't think that's right. So I think we should make renewal price affected by market. I think we need to make it so somebody can't just buy all the cores. I propose like an LBP mechanism. There's some other system that like Jonas and some guys are proposing. For me, I don't really care which one. I just think it's bad if someone just buys all the cores. And then make it so projects can spend more if they want to get a car, because as far as I remember, if call time sales are banned, and that's apparently like really bullish in crypto. So remember, crowd loans, the highest bidder won then most of the time because it was a candle auction. But like, if I have a parachain and I really, 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 really want a car, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to spend 100,000 DOT on a car when the actual sale price is 10,000 DOT or whatever. I think I should be able to do that, or the project should be able to do that, whatever. And that's good for Polkadot because then there's more DOT that's used for cars, there's more burn slash revenue, however car time sales are handled. Yeah, I think that makes sense to me at least. So yeah, and I think that's it.